Hey guys, welcome. Happy Wednesday, Wednesday night, Wednesday morning, midday Wednesday. We don't know where you're at on a Wednesday. For me, I'm actually into Thursday, but that's okay. This is our One Love Wednesdays. Sorry about last week, guys. I was just switching time zones, a little bit screwy, but don't worry, we're back again. We didn't forget you. We're going to bring on the One Love God himself, John Timmerman. So, get in your questions, your comments, gives us your thumbs up. And in 3 seconds, we're going to start this show. Again, this is brought to you by Feathers Elite Racing Pigeon Network. In three, two, one, here we go. Wow, we are back. Back as ever. There's the man on the right of your screen. He will be on the right of your screen. I'm on the left of your screen. I'm Ryan. This is John. John, California Classic World Cup. Welcome. Welcome back. Welcome to Belgium. I mean, this is as close as you're getting to Belgium right now. You're where it's still sunny and warm, and I'm in the pitch dark. So, how are things with you, John?
Things are doing pretty good. Um, we got another 3, 4. No, I got another 4 weeks of taking birds in, and the coming still pretty steady. Weather's been changing a little bit more to the warmer side so far, so things are looking good. Um, Started flying the birds a lot this last few days, a little bit more, just because the weather's getting better. But we're optimistic for a good season.
Yeah, it's the weather here in Belgium. It's going to start going into the 90s this week as they start to go for the national races. That's out 400 and 500 kilometers, so about 300-mile races. It's going up now. Guys are racing young birds, but we've been hit here with just rain. Seems like we get an hour of rain, and then it blows through. Hour of rain, then it blows through, and you can see it affects the birds. The weather, it's so funny here. I like letting them out in the rain. I like them to work in the rain. A lot of guys here do not like to play them in the rain or even in hard wind conditions. They say, it takes the form off. It's very easy for pigeons to catch a cold when they get wet. I don't know if I really buy it, but what do you think?
I've heard it. I've heard it from different directions. I know some guys prefer to, get the pigeons adapted to so many things. But I think for an OLR, when you're receiving these birds, you just don't take chances. Like where I'm at, we're at 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 feet, and those pigeons, if they get up, when you got the air and you got the airstream jet streams up there, you could be asking for a problem if you have those pigeons flying pretty good. It is amazing that even with strong winds, the babies most of the time, they'll stay to the ground. They won't actually start getting up. But in reference to what you said, as far as if you're going into racing, yeah, some guys don't. They prefer to keep them locked up rather than fly 'em in a drizzle. So it's just a question of preference. I guess it just depends how much success you've had on race day, and that will tell you.
Yeah, I gotta say something. Um, We got a question here first before we continue. The question is, John, how many birds are in your loft now? Because you still got 4 weeks to go, and I can tell by your face you're into the "I'm fed up of new birds coming in" mode.
No, yeah, it's tough. I mean, I've kind of updated the website, but I'm close to 1,400 in the Cali and 640 or 650, I believe, in the Royal.
That's a
So
lot of birds,
total
man.
right now, bird wise, we're looking at close to 2,000 pigeons on the property. So uh, we're a little less than what we normally are, but that's okay. I'm okay with it. We just hope that in the next 4 to 5 weeks that we can keep health and losses off the loft to a minimal. That's all. That's what I'm. You just never know. Sometimes, just like you mentioned, if the weather changes over here, we get that June gloom, and it gets wet, and mycoplasma is always an issue the last few years, and we've had it under control, but you just never know. It's young pigeons.
Yeah, you never know. Every year's different. Do you find in the loft? I know you're on the wire floors. Do you find you get a lot of sauerkraut?
No, I don't. I don't. No, I mean you could get. You'll. There are pigeons that, with the fluctuations, the temperatures and stuff, you see a little bit of a dino coming through. Um, but for
But
the most part, no, I don't. I don't see sauerkraut.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about when they fill up with water, and then if you
Hmm.
open their mouth, it just smells. Well, it's rotten, and no matter you know, sometimes you'll squeeze them out or you hang them so that the the liquid runs out of them, and I'll hit them with a pinch of salt. But normally when they get it, they never come out of it. Eh? It's just something I try every time I try and fix a youngster. If it gets it, there's no luck. One out of
No, I
10.
mean, well, and that's with everything. I mean, over the years, sure, we could cure it. We could cure a lot of things, but when pigeons run into these issues at an early age, I'd rather replace them at this point. Before I used to doctor them up, and we still can, but it's just to the breeder's benefit to replace the bird.
Yeah, it's funny how you say that. Like you think about it, you've got 4 weeks to go. You can doctor a pigeon, but we both know you can doctor 500 pigeons. One might make the finals. They never seem to pigeons. You got a doctor, super glue together, give them all this shit. They're in the sick bay. They never come out. It's different than a pigeon that injures his leg or something. That's different. But sick pigeons never come out. And it's a real smart thing to just say, hey, let's cut the problem, get rid of it, call up the guy and say, Ben, send me another one. And
Absolutely, yeah.
and that's
It's
looking smart, like smart than just saying, hey, get rid of it. Forget wasting a week on it. You don't know what shit that can throw through the rest of the birds. Get it out as quick as possible. Smart. I do the same. It's just easy. For some reason, John, you look at pigeons and you can see a sick one before he's in real trouble. Can you do it too?
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, I mean
It's
that's
just,
that's the nature of the game. That's how you prevent any kind of serious issues. Knock on wood. All these years of doing it, I haven't had any crazy stuff where you gotta bleach the floors and burn the lofts, and that's a nightmare. I've experienced it as a kid. I've seen it. My father had like an 80, 60 foot loft, and he had concrete slab floors, and you know the ventilation wasn't the best. And as a kid, I run into either the coccidiosis or when PMV started. You didn't, nobody knew what that was, but when it went through a loft, yeah, you don't forget.
yeah. Question here. Any hawk issues?
No hawk issues right now. No, they're all sitting on eggs.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
They're
They're waiting a
they're
little
probably
later.
they're getting ready, right?
They're getting ready. Another question for you, John. Are you getting any smoke your way from the fires? What is there? Fires going on where you're at?
But in Simi Valley, that's about 150 miles to the west. But where I'm at to the south, I'm where the loft is. We're about 20 minutes from the border of Mexico. But where I'm at a higher elevation, so it's luckily it's not affecting me yet.
Have you ever had a season where there's been fire right near you, or no?
Oh yeah, knock on wood. Yeah, it's I'd say probably about 15 years ago. Um, it came pretty close, and we had to create. I mean, it was so stupid that we created the birds ready to move and watching the fire, and all of a sudden it looked like it went away. And 5 hours later, the fire was back and had to go back in and grab all the birds and transport them, move them to somewhere else just to wait it out. But yeah, it's a pain. It's a pain, and I'm sure, you know, hey, Southern California, it's getting drier, so hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully we're prepared. Hopefully the fire department. I mean, there seems to be more. There's more control as far as habitat and just with the fire departments, the local fire departments with their training and putting fires out because yeah, we've experienced some ugly things down here.
Yeah, when is the in your area? When's like the most scariest fire time? When would that be? What?
Um, when you see when they speak of Santa Ana winds, and that's a wind that comes off the desert, and the winds are usually howling at 50, 60 miles, 70 miles an hour, and the temperatures are up to 90 to 100, and things are dry. That's when it's ugly. Now, in the old days, if you got to November, December, January, it was never an issue. But as we saw this last year, or was it in Malibu? I mean, it happened in January, and that's something close to the coast. Those poor people. It's just
Yeah.
Mother Nature. Now we just don't know what to expect.
Okay. Like I'm saying, so it basically just comes from. I mean, I don't know much about it. It just comes from Mother Nature with the wind and the dryness. That's it, eh?
Yes.
Something
Yeah.
I
That's
don't want to experience.
it's the humidity. When the humidity gets down to 5, 6, 7%, that's I mean, that sounds crazy, but that's when it gets that low. That's when things could get ugly.
Yeah. And now, when we were talking moments ago there about loss and looking at sick birds, I was talking with Stefan Lambrecht, and this is his old loft, and we talk, and we're getting young birds in. I got them in from about 15 different lofts, Belgium and Holland, and we were talking, and it was funny. He said, "Whatever you do, don't clean that loft. Just let the droppings build under the grates, and even leave the boxes until you got to clean them." And in broken English, we think the same thing. I think on the box purchase and stuff like that, guys over clean, and for some reason it ends up becoming more wet and just not good. I wonder. I know in your loft you don't have this problem. Is that something you've ever noticed, or do you clean right from the beginning to the end, even in your own loft? Because I know on the purchase you
Oh,
got there, you don't have that problem.
no, but I do leave the top of the feeders, or I do have, like in the California, the back of the loft, 3 feet. It is plywood, and I did it on purpose, just to let it build, just to let the droppings build up to act as a probiotic. Because
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. When you keep the loft too clean, that's an issue. I mean, I shared it before. The late Steve Sturchy, going back about 15, 16 years ago, he just couldn't figure out why he always had a problem. And I said, exactly what you just said. I said, how often do you clean? He goes, every day. I said, well, that's your problem. Not only are you cleaning, you're bleaching the loft. I said you got to let these birds, build up an immunity. Um, so that's, you know, my lofts we still clean every 2 days, or excuse me, every 3 days, and I put a powder on the plywood that I do have, and just to keep it dry. That's all you want is the loft to be dry.
Yeah, and people for instance, the lofts we have are the graded wooden floors. So it's a graded loft floor, and underneath what we did was we put a layer of granules. Like the Versalaga granules. Just put one layer, put the grates down, and it's still 6 inches up. And the bird droppings, boom. But the layer of that granule elevates and lets that shit dry. And it's exactly what you're saying. Same with the box perches, everything. Once this stuff gets dry, it's okay to leave it. Now, if you're doing photos and videos and you post it up online, people say, "Oh, well, that's not right. That's this." Listen, if you want healthy pigeons, these are a few little things. A funny thing that you talked about, Steve Sturchy. I remember the first Texas shootout. I went to CL's and we were talking about CL said, and I can still remember because my dad and him were on the same page and whatever. CL said, "What's the best nest pole?" And guys were looking at him. We were sitting there, I don't know, 2 or 3 days before the race, and guys were talking, and CL said an old nest bowl that's had 3 years of youngsters go through it. Like how they dry out, and they're not a clean nest bowl, or they're a pigeon like a pigeon shit nest bowl. And I thought it was funny, but again, for the immunity, eh?
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean,
hmm?
you have to just be realistic. I mean, you just want a dry loft, and you just hope that there's no other parasites or bugs that the current pigeons had that left the droppings. Um, that you didn't have any problems, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah, which that's another thing to say, but it doesn't mean when you're cleaning them. Doesn't I always find when you clean, same thing with a floor, a wooden floor. When you clean on a wooden floor, you scrape the shit away, but the loft never is dry. There's always a wet spot. And they always joke and say, well, if you're not like the Jansen brothers, have that one guy that goes through the loft, cleans it all. Then when he's done, he goes back and cleans it all. And when he's done, he's on a loop. The loft's you can never get it. If you're not cleaning 2, 3 times a day, it's not clean enough. You know what I mean? And 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 getting back to dirty loss, or not dirty loss, but lost immunity. Patrick Books, you know Patrick, you're doing quite well with his pigeons.
Yeah.
He says I don't waste time cleaning. He says I like sitting with the pigeons, feeding the pigeons. If I gotta waste time cleaning, I'm not studying the pigeons.
Well, everybody's got a different, theory to that. I mean, my good friend John in Florida, I mean, he believes in the deep litter system, and him and his brother, I mean, they're immune to it because that freaking dust is horrible. But you know, it's just they try to do everything as natural as possible. That's the mentality, that natural as possible for the birds and to hold the form. Um, Myself, yeah, you can keep it dirty and all that, but when you get into the racing, and if you really want to fly on top, to me, you just make sure there's no dust, there's no particles, there's no interference with anything. Sure, you could keep the birds, you want to keep them as comfortable as possible, and that's part of it. If you're racing, and whatever it is, you're putting straw down or you're putting shavings, or uh, that's all great, but still, the dust, that's what you have to keep to a minimal.
Yeah, and it's funny. If you have a real dry litter pigeon loft, and this is no joke, and you bring in pigeons, you go to an auction and you buy youngsters, and you bring them into your loft, into your dry litter, and if your dry litter in your loft's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old of that base, when you bring youngsters in, they normally never survive. They can't handle the immunity, eh?
Yeah.
It's happened to us. I mean, my dad loves dry litter, so anytime you'd go to a young bird auction, we'd always joke and say, "Well, hey, you bought it. Here it is. If it's got the immunity, you'll see within about 10 days." And sure as hell, you bought, three youngsters, you might have one that makes it. You might not have any, but funny how that works. Now, I notice, and I think it's a big thing. I don't know of too many one loft races, these big ones, that aren't on wire floors. Do you think wire floors is one of the first things you would do building a loft for a one loft?
It depends on what magnitude you're bringing in the pigeons. Like my lofts with the right now with the summer coming, they're ideal. It's the best. But you get into the winter months, that changes the form, and that's tough because it is more of an airy loft. I mean, I don't have dust, but you when you have the a sheeted floor, you can keep the temperature a little bit more consistent
Mm.
versus an open floor where yeah you're flying 65 70 degrees pretty steady, but then all of a sudden you get into the winter months and now you're 40 degrees in the morning and you got still graded floors and shit. It's like it's cold. So there's
Yeah,
there's drawback there. I mean, there are drawbacks to having it, but I'm not flying a race where it's not supposed to be snow, and maybe it'll change in time. But if anything, we're probably expecting more heat later, all the way to Christmas nowadays. So it's going to be okay for me.
yeah. I remember about 6 years ago, I went to Spring Hill and I visited a guy, uh, eh, Dumont. Dumont was the last name. Andy Dumont, John Dumont. I can't remember, but I don't know if you know the name. Anyways, good flyer in the Spring Hill area. And he was the only loft that I had been to that he used the granules on the floor. He had a solid wood floor. And I remember it was there, shit, it had to have been 90 degrees, humid as hell. And he had cattle mats. You know cattle mats? Like
Hmm.
the ones that they're a heated mat.
Oh yeah,
He
yeah,
had
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He had these mats on. Okay. Now, outside of his loft, you were sweating. It was gross. We went in the loft to do the videoing, and it was hot, but it dried it out. The pigeons were laying on the heated mats. And I couldn't believe it. No, what's the word? No graded floors, nothing, just dry. And I thought, man, very, very interesting because everybody there in Florida seems to be on wire floors. And I don't know how you get form on wire. Wire floors under the ground. You get what I'm saying? So the air's coming
Yeah,
through.
yeah.
Oh,
I mean, it really
just
is going to depend. It really depends on your environment. I mean, with Florida, they're dealing with a lot of humidity. So, to me, yeah, open floor as open as possible. Texas, they get into those summer months, it's blazing, it's brutal. So the more open the loft, the better. But I've seen Texas also where all of a sudden it's 30 degrees. It's better to have it a little bit, enclosed just to keep it a little warmer in the loft. But it's a balance.
now this weekend that passed, you flew what, a 500 mile
Yeah, we had our last race Monday.
Monday. And just a question: your lofts at your place, is it wire? Is it wood? What's the floor like in that loft?
Same thing. It's also graded. And I mean, I do the graded because yeah, it's having the setup that I do, it's a lot of time involved. So I'm not there to clean every day. So I buy time by having the graded floors. Sure, the purchase and stuff could get messy, but we'll clean those once a week. But the graded floors allows the droppings to fall and the birds are always clean and there's no serious problems. But I do fly on a graded floor and
Mm.
I love it.
Okay.
And I
Eh,
really enjoy it.
Yeah, and you had a great result this weekend, eh?
Yeah, yeah, it was the last race. I kind of minimized. I didn't fly last week. I dropped back to a 250. The week before at the four, I was fourth and fifth, and then I came back on this 500, and it was almost 12 hours on the wing, and I was able to get one up front. So up front, I was able to win the race. So I was really happy with that.
Yeah,
Which was like I said, it was a half Patrick, was right off of Justify. It was a Patrick Brooks pigeon, which never would have. I mean, the pigeon itself has been consistent, always flew. Um, but for those that are listening, I mean, Ryan brought it up to what, a couple weeks ago. You can't take a hard to take a long distance pigeons to fly short, but you can take a short distance pigeon and fly long. And so usually our 500 is usually fast, and we did have some tailwinds, but it turned out to be a ball buster. 10% humidity for 400 miles of the course, and they had just winds all over the place. And but there was, I think, four birds that kind of were coming out front, but I had the lead one, so it was good.
hey, again, I say people want to know. I would always start with sprint pigeons. You can get them to do it better. Those long distance pigeons. I'm flying here with my friend Lars. He's got a real good family of long distance pigeons, 1 day long distance. But as the sprint guys move up, as they move up and they graduate into middle distance, greater middle distance, and then they hit some of the long distance, the old sprint guys use their own pigeons, the smart ones, and they just stretch them, stretch them, stretch them, and they add the odd greater middle distance bird in. And I'll tell you, the long distance pigeons on short races, it's like they come real good, but just you gotta wait. Oh, we're not ready yet. In about 15 minutes from now, they'll start coming, and then boom, boom, boom. And it's funny to see how there's guys that I know that are real good now in the long distance, but they're using the sprint pigeons, or the base started with the sprint. And you see here with your bird that you win with at 500 miles, 50% of it's Patrick Books. Patrick doesn't take no cock past Noyon, which is maybe 110 miles.
Yeah.
And there you go. I mean, you give it a cross, which I don't know what was on the other side, but whatever it was, bird has the brains and speed and had enough stamina.
What's interesting, when I was a kid, my father had a lot of different pigeons, a lot of birds from Ayer Kent Muller and the old strains, Brockhaus, Van der Weghe. And he made a comment, and I kind of laughed at it. But you're there in Belgium, so the distance races are called font, right?
Font, yeah.
FOND.
Yeah, font,
So
font. Yeah.
his saying, my dad was saying, and I think it's something that he read because he used to read a lot of books back then. Font is stront, right? So it's basically distance. Font, long distance, made it to font is stront, and stront is shit. And so, I mean, that was a comment that he made to me back in late '80s, and I used to laugh at it. But years later, now what, 35 years later, it kind of holds true. Because they were crossing back then. Now, to what extent? Just like you just said, uh, the short distance pigeons can go farther. Gus Jojo said the same thing to me, and I used to look at him with his Leo Hermans. Oh no, they go 400, no problem. And I'm looking at it because the size is a little bigger on some of the Leo Herman pigeons. But I, not myself, but I know he did. He had some good success with them.
Well, and me and Lars, we've been talking, and I said, I can't figure this out. We can train them like I would train the sprint birds, train them the same way, give them the widowhood, motivate them the same way, everything the same, and they just can't they can't keep the pace. And he said, and I wonder if this is true. You know how when you watch pigeons fly, like we see them here, you can't tell. But I'm wondering if short, real sprint pigeons, real ones, if they stroke a few times more per minute. So let's say they do 200 strokes a minute. A sprint pigeon can do 200, but a long distance one, he might only do 175. But to our eyes, we can't see it. Do you understand?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because I can't figure out, you can't really tell in the sky when they fly. And then he said to me, well, you'll see if there are real sprint guys and they're playing long distance as well, they won't put their actual sprint birds that only go to sprint, they won't even fly them with the long distance pigeons. They don't want to change the stroke. So there's got to be something there.
But I also remember seeing one of the interviews with Patrick Boaks that he preferred. He flew short distance, but he preferred headwind days. He wasn't in for the tailwinds, and so here in the States, we fly no matter what. And so maybe that's just it, right? You could take a pigeon that is known to fly headwind days on the short. Well, it should be no problem flying a 3 and a 4 on a normal day.
Mm, true. True. I always say with those sprint pigeons, they're going to give you one or two really good tough times out, and then you might see them finish. But you're always better. People wonder, well, what do I get? What do I get? I would go with a base of good sprint pigeons, and then you can stretch them out from there. Like to your race, for instance, I'd have no problem sending you straight Leo Herman pigeons. Not a problem. Yeah, I know. I gotta be to win an ace pigeon. I gotta be up there ready to be. I gotta be up there in the short stuff. And on your final day, I need that bird to kick it into high gear. Hey, your speeds are gonna be between 1,200 and 1,400, so it's doable. So guys, I think people overthink things when they're buying pigeons. I know people are always about, oh, I got to get extreme or long distance. I'd stick to more of the sprint pigeons. Just my opinion. I think you're gonna get a little more out of it. Now, hey, these races though, like Florida Pigeon Derby or Big Andes or whatever, they're doing these 500-mile races now. And for that, I would say, okay, I would have some long distance birds that I'm sending there. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, it's just based on what the day's bringing you. I mean, those guys have had 500s and they've been fast also, and they've had 500s where they've been brutal, and that's for all of us. It just depends on the day. It's ironic, bringing up days. I mean, and just like this 500 that we flew, we anticipated this race to be. They were liberated at 6:10, and I'm thinking 2:30, 3 o'clock because of the way the winds were projected. The race secretary thought the same thing, and well, come 6 o'clock, we're just barely getting birds, and he's baffled. The next day, he's baffled. I said, well, welcome. That's what we go through in a one-off race. It's unpredictable. The weather is unpredictable, and that's why you kind of really got to go back to the old theories of how we used to race. If it's clear at the release and it's clear at home, you're supposed to race. That's what always made pigeon racing so exciting. But for whatever reason, now we're all glued to the apps and we double check this and double check that. And I get it. I'm not there to lose pigeons. I don't want to lose birds, but it's the weather's becoming very unpredictable. And these people that are given these, the predictions, they're not always right.
Yeah, one thing I'm going to say here that I like is basketing is basketing. Okay. The tomorrow night we're going basketing for Borges. Okay, you basket for the races, and there's no problem. Birds, they got no problem. Last weekend they had birds sit 2 days in the basket because of bad weather. Just, I mean, guys sure complain, but they just do it. And I think that's one thing in North America. There's too many, and I think even one loft guys do it. I'm not you, but I'm saying a lot of guys do it. They're constantly playing for every day's got to be an easy day, blow home day, simple day. And I think you're in the same mindset as me, or the same like to play. Hey, if we get a headwind ball buster of a day or a hot day, we get it. Let's go for it. But I think so many guys are playing the weather. They start looking on Monday for next Saturday's race, and
Yeah,
oh, we're going to
that's
cancel the race. Oh, we're going to cancel. What are you talking about? This is why the
yeah.
trucks have drinkers and feeders on them. Use it.
No, if you look back at the old race schedules, and I'm talking 25 years ago, you know, or even up to 15 years ago, club racing, the day was the day. These old timers that raced back then, hey, if there was no rain, they raced. Didn't matter if it was all, no sun. Now we're just more cautious, and I don't know necessarily if that's really we just want to do we're trying to do what's best. But pigeon racing is still pigeon racing. I mean, I know the guys in Mexico. In fact, I had the conversation with guys over the weekend, guys that brought me birds, and Guadalajara. There is no if the day's good, they go, and the day will be what it is. And here in the States, not just California, I'm talking just the whole United States, guys can't accept that. And that's tough. That's tough because there's other guys like myself that if there's a window, we race, and there's other guys that are going to postpone it for 2 weeks. So there's pros and cons. I mean, I get it. You're trying to wait, but by postponing a race by 2 weeks, you just change the whole form of the loft.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's right. And I think I think it's got. I know why, because people are calling screaming. Why'd you do this? Why are you racing? It's going to be bad weather. Then the guys I think a lot of the guys that do run these races are real pigeon men. But once you start getting the people dictating to you and telling you, hey, this isn't good weather, this isn't good. If you screw this up, I'm not coming back next year. And people start worrying about, again, that money, the money. And I think it makes the birds in the end weaker. The
well, yeah, you're not
quality.
you're not doing the birds any justice, and you're really not. For the handler who's got to make the call, it sucks because none of them, like I've said from day one, none of these guys are going into this trying to lose birds. They're all trying to. Everybody wants to repeat and keep going into business, and wants as far as being continue being in management of the birds, but it's challenging. It's you know uh, it's like a big race they had in LA. The Snowbird used to be a 400-mile race. And for many, many years, there was a few guys that dominated that race. And then all of a sudden, the race was the most successful race in the country. And you had people from all over the world that, big names back then, back in their late 80s, early 90s, that would come visit. I mean, I'm talking from Hubin to shit. Just a lot of the old time top lofts would come see this. Well, I don't know what, but there was a few guys that didn't like it, and they dropped it back to a 350-mile race. That changed the whole layout of the race, and it never, I think they did it 1 or 2 years. It never became what it was. That was a special race when they had a four. It's no different than I believe South Africa. South Africa, the original was a 400-mile race, and then they brought it back. And all of us, I mean, it takes time and it takes experience. I mean, the reality is with pigeon racing, you're going to get good days and you're going to get bad days. We could be 3 years on a streak where the pigeons are coming phenomenal, and then all of a sudden you hit a day where the winds are upside down, or like in my situation, you're dealing with the very low humidity. It's going to be rough, and then all of a sudden everybody wants to quit. That's just, I don't know if that's just pigeon guys or if that's just people. I don't know, but that's kind of the drawback of our sport, and it's been like that through history. And no different than some of these big challenging races now, where the guys, they're trying to pull the plug because they're afraid, and you can't be afraid. You got to race.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why, you got to watch where you send your birds. Like, when we talk about success rate in your race here, And it's because you don't hold back. You keep it very consistent. And I think by doing this, you know yourself, this is why you see pigeons that go to China or Taiwan or go to the Pattaya race or different other races. They show up and they're down from birds that is racing your race because it's consistent.
It's
And
consistent. It's consistent, Ryan. But hey, I mean, I get it. I know why people
Mhm.
do what they do. But and it's not. They're not trying to sing. I'm not trying to single out a guy or a couple guys. It's just that's the way the sport has evolved. And face it, other countries they're getting better too. Like I just mentioned, you take Guadalajara. There is no, oh, there's no sun. We're not racing. No, they're going to race. You know, you take Asian countries, they're going to race. Now, I'm not really keen yet on the. I don't know a whole lot about the Middle East on their, the temperatures and stuff. But um, our country has just become a little soft overall with the racing. And I mean, I talk to my friend John in Florida all the time, and if the conditions aren't right for a lot of the guys, no race, and that changes everything.
Yeah, I don't I mean, I find racing pigeons the resilientness, the smarts, the will, everything these birds have. And all these guys that buy these pigeons and they send them to these races, they're all buying top pedigree pigeons, blah blah blah. Pigeons can do a lot more than we allow them to. But we put the reins on and white glove them so much where you're never seeing you don't see that potential. Like in Florida, that just drives me nuts because well, what are we doing here? It's a headwind, it's a crosswind, what do we, it's overcast. Let's play. Let's see who can play. Not perfect sunshines and rainbows, but I guess the majority rules.
Well, that's just it. That's and it's nothing bad with that, but it's not. Um, it's like a good friend of mine in Hawaii says. We've evolved the racing pigeon to a whole different level in today's time. Um, and they are capable of so much more by holding back, by bringing the races to shorter races. We're handicapped. We're going backwards instead of forwards.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and I mean, what I know one day, you guys are going to be interviewing, or I say you, us, or you in particular, will be doing an interview with some of the flyers in Hawaii, and that they could share with you what they go through, what they start with, and what they got left, and the mentality of it all. Because a lot of them, they've been in this game also 30, 40, 50 years. And it hasn't really the sport there hasn't really doubled in size. It's just same as throughout the United States. It's as far as the racing aspect, club racing, it's slowly diminishing.
yeah.
So
Hey, it's funny. Even probably how you grew up and how I grew up. Your dad said no. If you ask, you pushed a little bit, you got a spank, or you got a real stern telling to. Like no. Now these days, you can't say nothing to the kids. You can't tell them they're doing something wrong. You can't scold them. It's almost like we're making them everything so soft that it's very hard to find the quality. You know what I mean?
yeah, well, but that's one thing with the aspect in San Diego. We've never changed with their concept. We've always, well, let me take that back. I mean, now I do a 190 to a 300 miles. It's a jump. But back in the day, they used to only train them out 150 and go to the 300.
Come on, hey John, let's do a way back playback, buddy.
That's how they used to race, and they preferred it that way. But
John, for the amount of work, though, hey, listen, I'm going to say something, and I'm being honest. From the amount of work that you put into your pigeons, and you're going to jump them from 150 to 300, I'm fine with this. But I know that you're putting the handling in. And you know, John, have you ever noticed new pigeon guys? They talk distance like it's nothing. Oh yeah, let's do 6 300s. Yeah, we'll do 5 300s. We'll do 4 300s. You know, if you, it's not easy. Not
No,
all pigeons do it. And
no.
if you run on 7 days, 300, 300, 300, you're going to hit the day where in the middle one or the first one where you graveyard those pigeons.
Yeah. Well, we all think we all know the answers to this game with training with the distance. Some guys used to believe you're flying a 350, you got to train them out 300 miles. That's not true. Um, some guys believe that you walk them out 400 miles, and then you're not going to lose any more birds. Well, that's not true. Um, it just everything a lot depends on the day, and if you got if there's a wind in their favor, they're always going to do well. But you get that one day where, like I said, the humidity's off or the winds are against them. You're going to be crying. That's just pigeon racing, and it seems to be like that for so many. And I think, and I've shared it before, like you get into a big final, and if everything's always been perfect for the birds leading up to the race, and it turns out to be a little bit of a difficult race, you're not going to see those pigeons that were coming the whole time. You're going to see pigeons that were in the middle or second day because they learned something. And those many times, those are the big winners when it comes to the final.
Yeah, it's the pigeons that go through that little bit of controversy, and people don't get that. And there's one thing that I think if pigeon guys did this, if you know that they're one loft, they love flying one loft, if they had a team of young pigeons at home that they could loft fly, and they can train lightly or follow a one loft system sort of, and put the birds in their club and combine and test their own birds. It's gonna help you in your breeding, even if you're not out there to win in the club. You know what I mean, John? Just being first to your loft, and letting the bird go in the conditions. I think guys that don't play in the clubs and combines, I think it hurts them when they're only betting on judging off of one loss. What do you think?
Well, absolutely, because you got to remember, some of us, a lot of people get discouraged. You're going into a one loft race with four pigeons, and you know, if it doesn't come home, you get discouraged. You're flying in club level. You experience in yourself. You got a 100 bird team, and you're going to see what you got at the end of the season, and you're going to experience weekly, what's going on. And then once you understand that, then you have a different, thought process with the one loft racing. Like I said before, one loft racing, sure, you could have big prizes, but a one loft race wasn't really supposed to be about that. It was also about, again, it was about people coming together and the fellowship and some people feeding off one another, good pigeons or what they learned, techniques. And that's really what that's what the one loft race base was. And we did, we evolved with big prizes, and that's great. But one loft racing, I know San Diego, like I said it so many times, it's not always about, hey, $100,000 winner. Don't get me wrong, it's great, but it's the experience of meeting people and getting to know people. That's what you want. I mean, to this day, I mean, I've got friends in Canada, all the way to Florida, to England, to Europe, and that's just through all the years of doing this stuff.
Yeah, that's right. And people miss that. Again, focusing always on the money, and they miss the beauty of it and the art of it. And you know what? You look here at all these pigeons, okay? You look at all these pigeons landing and coming in, and man, it's incredible. It's incredible. You see this and think about it. Every year at your race, there's an ace pigeon. Every year there's the first drop in the finals. But that ace pigeon, that's a take your hat off pigeon. It should be the most highest paid pigeon, but because you do the drops and whatever, the price doesn't matter. It's an honor to be able to breed such a pigeon. They're priceless the way I look at it, and it's super hard to do.
Oh yeah, but a lot of times even the ace pigeons. I mean, I remember the late Kenny Rhodes when he had numerous ace pigeons, and he would say they never bred me anything. So go figure. Sometimes you know again, this homing pigeons is one law for. It's about homing ability too, and pigeons that are very consistent when they're walked out, they're being walked out. Whereas you get into these more difficult races, 10 hours on the wing, that pigeon's got to have something other pigeons don't have. And so it's, I mean, there's different ways to look at it. I mean, uh, there's been plenty of guys that have bought great pigeons from these big races uh, and bred super birds. Birds that were in the top 50 from a very difficult race. And, that speaks for itself. And it's just like another friend said, it was actually another Hawaiian, Danny Lum. He made the comment that, hey, I'm not mad at you. If 10 birds can make it, where's the rest? How it is.
John, I'll say this every day I train here in Belgium. I have a rule, okay? The only rule is I just need one. If one comes, there's no excuse. And I think the way your buddy Danny said it is 100% right. And I think pigeon guys forget this. It's well,
Absolutely.
and they're all, hey, listen, this isn't an insult. One out of every 100 pigeons is real good or is good. One out of 1,000 is your ace pigeon, right?
Yeah.
Guys, think about it. If you send every year to a one loft race, you send 10 pigeons, right? Only 10. In 10 years, you will have a one loft winner probably, and you will probably might have an ace pigeon. You might have one of the two or both. But you're only sending 10 a year. You got to breed 100 pigeons. This is where we look at it, and guys, Big Loss, Koopman, Gannis, they send 200 pigeons to a race. How many years are they flying to the common man that only can put 3 or 4 pigeons in?
Yeah.
And that's how it's done. You need those pigeons, and there's not many, so guys have to think what they're doing when they're sending pigeons. Hey, see if you can finish first, and they'll work from there. Anyways, we could go on about this all day. But anyways, so birds are looking good. Have you done any? We got off track here. Did you get any flight pulling done? Is that starting yet or
Oh
not
no,
yet?
no, that doesn't start for another 5 week or another 4 weeks. Yeah, I don't start pulling until the first into the first second week of June. Then I work on that.
Okay.
So right now
Uh,
everything is, birds are it's just the same routine. It's just birds going out, birds trapping, birds learning the system, getting called in, and so far that's all going pretty well. Um, so that's, and as far as health, sure, we run into some birds that don't make it, but overall they're doing great.
yeah. And how do you? Hey, let me ask you. This is an interesting question. Handling pigeons, because I know you know what a nice pigeon feels like. You know the 3 second rule. How do you find would you score the group of the birds that you see coming in? How do you score the quality in the hands that when you take them out of the boxes? Hey, are guys sending you well put together?
Well, I
Good.
mean, well, first off, I don't grade anybody's bird. I just look at it after 3 days, 4 days, and when I start doing vaccinations, if they dropped a lot of weight and they got food and water right in front of them, then right there, like these birds are not put together right. Especially now that we're getting into May, or we're in May. Now we're on. A lot of guys have their second round. Some guys have their third round, and all that has, adds to what quality of pigeon you're going to have. And not to mention even the temperatures, like the East Coast right now, they're 90, 100. Some guys are gun shy right now to ship, which is fine. They're going to ship in another week or two when the weather cools down. But sometimes that can affect your breeding program too. I mean, yeah, the heat's better. It's better than the cold, I believe. But if it's too hot, and it depends on the guy's loft.
Right.
Are the parents going to keep pumping the babies full with feed, or are they, like I said, they're on their third round, they're not having any, they're not having that zest that they had in the beginning.
Yeah,
So
that's
there's
right.
all there's a lot of things to always consider. Plus, you got to have some birds. You got to get into another 3-4 weeks. Birds, some of these places where it's really warm, birds are going to start molting already.
Yeah. Yeah. How is the molt on them? How's it going for those early
You know,
ones?
Um, it's fair. I mean, you got birds on their third, fourth flight. Nobody's falling apart yet in the molt, because we haven't had that hot weather yet. We've had some. I would say we've had a lot of colder days. But yeah, once that heat comes, which they're expecting that throughout the United States, that I'm sure birds are going to go through the molt pretty quick. Because they're expecting it to be, I don't know, 5-10 degrees warmer than it normally is. So we'll see. I'm not looking too forward to that, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Be ready. Be ready with the heat. The heat's good and the heat's bad, and I don't know in a one loft. I don't know if the heat can be detrimental. You know what I mean? Do you prefer it
Well,
cooler or warm?
I think having the heat is good. I think it's the pigeons, especially for myself in an open loft, they do way better than having 40-degree, 50-degree weather. That's not ideal, and that's where guys get all wrapped up in the feeding and what Verslaga has or what Bayer's has, and it's like here in California, you don't need all that rich food, not now. And the same thing goes for Florida. You're dealing with a different type of environment, and so the grains that you feed, and those guys know, same as we over here. It's a lot of stuff, that rich fatty stuff is not necessary.
Hey, here's a great question, and let's see what your thought is. Face a YouTube question here. Can you? What is the question? Can you wait? Can too many tosses hurt young bird performance? What do you think?
I think short distance tosses can never hurt. I think anything under 40 miles, anything under an hour, as many times as you can go, it's fine. Anything under, in the beginning, anything under 15 miles, you're just sharpening the pigeon. That's all.
I totally agree. When you're in the race season, you don't want to race the race in the week, but you can keep them sharp. Like John says, it's nice to have a 10-mile spot or a 20-mile, a 30, a 40-mile confidence spots where you can take them, where you can judge the wind and say, hey, I want to train twice today, 2 times 20, 25 miles. You keep them sharp. They're under an hour on the wing. Time on the wing's a big thing, but I think train, train, train. You cannot train enough. Hey, look at Kobe Bryant. All he did was practice, 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 practice. And you see it. You look at all the professional athletes, they didn't become professionals because they trained once a day. They trained huh, unbelievable. The hours they put in a day. And I think you can do it with your pigeons. You just like John said, you don't train them
It's
100
it's
miles
all
every day.
it's all moderation. That's the
Yeah.
key, is moderation. And I mean, I do know. I mean, I've heard guys in Chicago, when they start really training. I mean, they train hard. Um, when I say hard, 150 miles or 120 miles every day, if not every other day, and of course, that's when the whole feeding changes in the loft. But to be practical, you just try to keep it at 40 minutes to an hour a day, and you're fine. You're not going to hurt the birds.
Yeah, that's right. Everything in moderation. Again, if it's super strong tailwinds, no problem taking them for 100 miles. But just try not to race your race before you race. Sorry about that, John. I had a dry spot. Yeah. Anyways,
What do you
well,
got? What do you got? What do you got? Belgium COVID or what?
oh, Jesus, I don't know. I just got a little dry spot in my throat. I don't know.
Look,
It's
man, you might have to be quarantined.
go away. Don't say that. No, I've vaccinated myself too many times with PNV. Here's an interesting thing. You can't put birds on a truck here in Belgium unless you have a veterinary certificate that you vaccinated them.
Yeah.
Interesting, eh? Cannot do it.
Well, I think that's all great stuff. Everything that's, when they're regulated, and I mean that just shows the professionalism, and that's, and hopefully one day it's just like with us in One Loft Racing, or just in, our organizations of racing. I mean, when you have these rules, pigeon racing is just taken more serious. But the problem is for people to follow through with them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Well, shit, here, man, they got rules upon rules. There's more rules, chief. But it's not. You know what? It's nice. It's nice to see. My neighbor come over today. He brought one of my youngsters over, and he can't speak no English. If you give me a little note, oh, tomorrow they changed the race they held over for Kivran. It wasn't today. It's going to be tomorrow. What? Don't let your young birds out between this time because we got race birds coming. But there's an actual law here in Belgium, a pigeon law, that you can't race on. You can't let your birds out on race day. So it's yeah.
Does
They
that
they
does
were
that rule does that rule still apply also? Your birds, do they monitor that as well? With all your birds need to have a card with the band, like
yeah.
double. Yeah.
The you're talking the tags.
Yes.
Yeah. Now here's the thing: if you have pigeons in your house, okay, you've got to have the ownership cards with them. If you
Yeah.
don't have the ownership cards, you can lose all your pigeons on the property.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I don't know. In the States, they don't give ownership cards anymore, do they?
No, not here.
No, in Canada they don't. But meanwhile,
No, shit. In our country, these people are making counterfeit bands now. I mean, I don't. It's crazy.
yeah, and I don't mean to leave the room here, but for people that don't have a clue, the newbies, the guys who spread the legs open, see how far? They never see these before.
Wow.
That's an ownership card, right? That's what
Yeah.
you're talking about. And every
Right.
pigeon has one. And you should see when you go to the guys' houses, they got the Rolodex. They give you the card, boom. Like this is serious shit, man.
Yeah.
This isn't just cards, but I don't know why in Canada and the United States we're not getting them anymore. I mean, I hate to say this, I'm not going to rip on the unions here, but what's going on?
It's like anything else. You got to have the right people running the right thing to keep it afloat. If you don't have the right people in administration, and that goes for Canada, it goes here for the U.S. I mean, I know they're working on it. I know Butch Shoop, he's on it, and Crazy Al, they're
Oops, John cut
and
out. Yeah, they're working on it.
yeah,
It's just a little different worlds, but amazing. It's funny because you mentioned these cards, but like I know in Belgium, if people are buying birds, the cards go back and forth. Like this is real shit. I don't know what a Belgian does if he buys a bird, wins a one lot race in Europe or Africa or something, brings it back and doesn't get the little card. He must be having a conniption, because he doesn't have ownership.
yeah, that's interesting. Even like the big one-off races that are there, how do they handle that? I don't know.
I wonder if you have to send them. Like I don't know. I haven't looked into it, but just Two different worlds, you know?
Yeah.
I wonder how that is in Mexico. I wonder if they get the cards in Mexico.
No, I don't think so.
Nah.
I don't know.
Well, well, hey, John, we've been on for an hour. It's one o'clock here in the morning. I know you got still shit to do. I think this
We'll
time
talk next
works.
week.
We'll talk next
Yeah.
week. I want to get a hold of your Hawaiian guy. So we got to get that. Maybe I'm going to either get him on with us or I'm going to
Yeah.
do a recording.
I'll send you the number for those guys.
All right. And that'll be perfect. Hey, be safe this week. Enjoy. Wait, no racing now. You see, there's no more racing for you for the season. Just the one loss birds.
Yeah, I mean, if some would say I wasn't really racing, I just went in with two birds for that 500. So that's what made it. That was the icing on the cake. You
Hey,
know.
there's always something when you win a 500, eh?
Yeah, but I mean, to go against, like I said, I go against Sam the Russian. I mean, this guy's one of the best in the United States. I mean, for sure, Southern California. And if I could clobber him with one, I mean, hey, it's fantastic.
Well, hey, before I wrap this up, I wanted to say we got a gentleman here from the North Shore of Massachusetts. I really enjoy these videos. Keep up the good work. Hey, we enjoy it. Sorry we couldn't make it on Facebook tonight. There was a glitch in our broadcast. We don't only show on YouTube, but it's up there so you guys can watch it. Yeah, we're going to be on again next week. It'll be the same time, 6 New York time. That's what, 3 California time, Belgium time. That's midnight. So we're gonna go this week. I'm flying national borders. My first time
Good
doing
luck, bud.
that. Oh yeah, we need luck. We need the wind, and we're gonna have some fun. Anyways, we're gonna have some good food, and you know what? You never know. I could be a
What's your
national.
what is your favorite food right now? What are you eating?
Yeah, I'm on a diet because I
Oh,
gained too much weight, so I'm eating real clean right now. The weight hasn't come off yet, but I'm eating real clean. But if I go to the bakery here, oh man, I can't do it.
yeah,
This is like I got a bakery down the street,
yeah,
my friends. It's heaven,
yeah.
and
I
the
bet.
rest, I never seen this in this little town, little shitty town, old Belgian town. There's got to be 10 or 12 restaurants. You can go to every single one. The food is phenomenal. It's all homemade, and it's an experience. And John, we're gonna get you to Belgium. Because my friend from Australia wants. He goes, when John's coming, I want to come because I want to meet him. So we got to get you on one of these
Cool.
trips, and we'll make sure we go visit Patrick. We're gonna get a
All
picture
right,
with you
bud.
and Patrick.
All right. Well, let him know about that win. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I'll let him know, and I'll talk with Guy for what we were looking for. Again, great show tonight. Be safe. We'll talk next Wednesday. We got to do some more filming, and enjoy your last 4 weeks of collecting birds.
Yeah. All right, bud. Good luck to you for the racing.
All right.
See you,
Okay.
see you, bud.
Talk to you later, John. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that. That's John Timmerman, the GOAT in American One Loft Racing. He is probably the best handler in the United States, handling hundreds of lofts every year, gets those pigeons to go the distance, do the work. I was lucky to meet him in 2011, and the consistency has been key. You hear him. We hope you enjoyed this. I'm Ryan from Feathers Elite Racing Pigeon Network. Tune in tomorrow when we ship for Borges with Lars. Like, share, and subscribe. And guess what, guys? Love those pigeons. And don't be afraid to push them. Thanks for flying with us. Have a great evening. Bye for now.